Good morning. Can you hear me well? Yes, I think you can, right? Excellent. I'm delighted to be here. And while the scene is being set up by uh, for to basically make a stage for my panelists that will actually come and be under the fire of my questions. I would like to say a few words, probably not many, about the topic of today. So the topic of today is the future of telecoms. So as a consultant, we do spend a fair bit of time thinking about the future, right? So, and what it means for our clients. So in that context, how not to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, given the extensive level of development that it's undergone in the last 2 years, in particular since generative AI tools have actually started to become mainstream and exceeded the billion users in the world, it's just kind of pointing to the future. So I appreciate that there's some fatigue that I hear about AI, AI, AI. Everyone's only talking about AI. It's true. But I think given the really transformative nature of AI that actually affects all aspects of the economy, it's fair enough that, we talk about it a little bit, even if I strongly believe that AI will really have reached its full transformative potential once people stop actually talking about it, but actually doing things with it. And that it starts being embedded in all the tools and all the applications and all the use cases, which were those of yesterday, and which get upgraded, enhanced by AI. So in that context, maybe it's true that in the telecoms industry in particular, we've actually run a survey about AI. And the survey was with 85 executives across the globe. And what they said was that one of the reasons that they didn't implement more of AI was that AI was just immature in terms of technology. 21% of executives, as part of our survey, actually said that. But this was not the most important factor. Most important factor was that not enough data, was the lack of scalability of use cases. So there's a range of reasons why AI is not happening. But I think at this stage, I will invite my panelists to the stage, and I will start asking a few questions about AI. But then rest assured, there will be more questions about broader topics and not only AI. So I would like to invite to the stage Sohail Qadir, CEO of Zain Omantel International. Nabil Baccouche, Group Chief Carrier and Wholesale at Ierland. Veer Arjun Passi, Group CEO of Kalaam Carrier Solutions. Edwin van Ierland, Chief Operating Officer at IBasis. Virginie Hollebecque, Group Chief and Leader, EMEA. And Redouane Moussali, Executive Chairman at Lightstorm. Excellent. Excellent. So I think continuing on the topic of AI and thinking about artificial intelligence as a tool that can increase efficiency, increase productivity, while at the same time creating new opportunities for revenue through the development of new products which are AI powered or which actually cater for AI users or hyperscalers. So, Sohail, I'd like to ask you, what is the impact of AI as a revenue opportunity, as a source for increased productivity for Zain Omantel International?
Thank you, Johan. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you very much for inviting us over here, first of all. Regarding artificial intelligence, I think, as you said, it's a new thing. It's coming into the mainstream. But at Zain Omantel International, we have already started embedding AI tools in our network operations. So today, where we are standing is we have a network infrastructure, either submarine or terrestrial networks or data centers, but there is no automation. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to automate our networks through artificial intelligence, which means automated network, let's say, service delivery, automatic routing. But most important, especially when we are deploying a network of around 11,000 kilometers, the predictive analysis, the predictive fault repairing, instead of going all the way to a cut or all the way to a disaster, the AI tools that we are embedding into our network operations is basically allowing us to see that there is going to be an issue in this network, be it based on temperature, be it based on the traffic routing and those kind of things. So it automatically routes, but predictive analytics of AI and informing the network operations and the service delivery team and the operations team to rectify the issues before it happens. That is something that where we are moving forward. So that's at Zoe level where we are embedding artificial intelligence. Obviously, in I would say customer services, those are some of the use cases that we are deployed, and they are going to provide a better customer services. But mainly, we are very much focused on the operation side today.
Okay. And maybe coming back on the announcement that we just heard today about the opening of SN1, will there be AI in SN1?
Well, SN1 is it's a data center, right? We SN1 being Equinix, it's a partnership between Equinix and Omantel. It's a 50-50 joint venture. So it's a carrier neutral data center. We provide co-location space, power, and cooling to the customers. Our customers who are bringing the AI. Today, if I ask Equinix, yes, Equinix is bringing in AI into their operations, but specifically on SN1, no, there's not much of AI over there at the moment.
And but maybe AI workloads because of some of the clients that you're expecting.
We are hoping to bring AI over there. We are hoping to bring the AI training data centers into our network as well. But SN1 is pure data center for telecommunication and submarine cables.
Okay. Thank you. Nabil, maybe I'd like to ask you also as a representative of END, maybe that you give us an update on some of the latest developments at END and how AI can have a role or will have a role into that.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everyone. And thank you for inviting me in this prestigious panel here in Muscat. Beautiful city, beautiful people. It's always a pleasure to come here. What's the latest at the end? A lot of things happened lately. I think the rebranding that has been announced just last week, actually, was the latest development. It's a repositioning of our brand to remember that EN is EN and more, and we go actually for more. And I think we have a video that we wanted. I don't know if the guys over there can just put the video, and it's always a video is always better than 1,000 words. So maybe if we can put the video for the audience here, and everyone will understand the repositioning, I would say. And then I will elaborate more what's the latest.
Maestro, do we have the video?
I hope we have the video.
Probably yes. Okay.
Otherwise, I will continue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But while they set up the video, so that's the rebranding is basically the new thing. Second is definitely the acquisition of PPF. PPF Group, 4 countries in Central and Eastern Europe. We closed the transaction. That's a new breakthrough, I would say, in our expansion plan. Bulgaria, Slovakia, Hungary, and Serbia are joining the 16 operations where we operate. That's 20 opcos in total. And that's actually 38 countries where we operate right now. If you add, obviously, the Kareem footprint, and if you add the Stars Plays, which is the regional Netflix, basically. So a lot of activities, I would say. Also, Vodafone, as you know, we are the single largest shareholder of Vodafone Group. A lot of synergies are happening between the groups, not just on care and wholesale. And we announced a couple of interesting things around voice match, voice services, and so on, but also on the procurement side, on the digital services, and on multiple other verticals as well. And the objective is really to see how we can basically create more values for our respective groups. And of course, we have our 16 operations besides the PPF group, where we continue to collaborate, we continue to work. The 16 operations across Asia, Middle East, and Africa. Obviously, PTCL, Afghanistan, Mobile in Saudi, Egypt, and obviously Maroc Telecom Group, and the 11 opcos that we have in Africa. So a lot of activities, and more to come. So I hope that the video now can be broadcasted. Otherwise, we'll do it later on.
And I think what you're clearly demonstrating is that the future of END is made of not only AI, but also lots of other things. And does AI have artificial intelligence has a play into that in one way or another?
Absolutely. AI is becoming really in the core of our activities. I mean, we created about a year ago a new vertical headed by a group chief AI and data officer, Dean Al-Mansouri. We have developed a few hundreds of use cases for not just our internal, I would say, users across wholesale, across procurement, across consumer enterprises. And all this is to manage basically a couple of things. Operational efficiency, that's extremely important. Enhance the customer experience, very, very important, the interaction that we have with our customers. And obviously also to unlock, let's say, new revenue streams. And for us, putting AI as part of our strategy is extremely crucial. This kind of proactivity with our customers, understanding if there is an issue even before the customer, let's say, understands that there is an issue. All the automation, enhanced AI chatbots, all this interaction to solve our customers' issue, but also from a wholesale perspective, and also obviously cybersecurity. By the way, cybersecurity is using AI for cybersecurity is also very important, and this is also to protect our network, but also to protect our customers' data, which is also valuable information. So not just from a consumer and enterprise, but also from a wholesale perspective. If you look at wholesale, we have developed a couple of use cases around automation when it comes to voice and SMS, all this intelligence routing that we could have using AI use cases. All the managing fraud. Fraud is becoming really a disaster for this industry. And if we are not tackling it properly, we'll have really a lot of issues. And usually in the voice transit business where we operate in very thin margins, AI will definitely help, let's say, combating fraud, not just on voice, but also on the messaging business. And I would say the last point is maybe managing aging and bad debts, having specific algorithm that will manage the pattern of, let's say, bad usage, bad fraudsters, anyone that we interact also in terms of partners, analyzing the historic trends and so on. I think this will improve also efficiency in general.
Thank you.
And I think you have the video now.
Good morning. Today feels like a day for more. And lights on. And with Ierland at my side, I can go for more. Because Ierland is Etisalat and so much more.
More convenience? Thank you.
More skills to unlock? Let's do it.
More AI.
Keep going, Ismail.
Get more charge and more go. With more ways to pay.
And more games to play than ever before.
And you know you want more for your business. Well, they give you that too. Get more calls and more connections. Here, there.
Wherever you go. With more ways to go, wherever and easier than ever.
And at the end of the day, I can watch more of my favorite sports or more series and shows.
All that with more speed than ever before.
So there you have it.
Ierland brings you so much more.
More tech.
More entertainment.
More mobility.
More business solutions.
And more connectivity.
Always doing more so you can be more. Ierland. Go for more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nabil. Thank you. And that's a good collection of use cases that you've actually described related to how AI can actually influence some of the processes of a telco.
Yeah, not just superstars, also use cases. Yeah.
Redouane, I'd like to also get a view from Lightstorm in terms of how AI can present an opportunity. In particular, with regards to data center interconnect, which I understand might be your specialty.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like really to thank Omantel and Zoe for inviting me to this respectful panel. Beautiful country. I come here quite frequently, been coming here for several years. And I think I'll just spend 2 minutes on the history of both how telecom emerged in this part of the world. I was one of those few people who introduced the internet here back in, I think, 1997, if I'm not mistaken. And it was GTO at that time. It was not Omantel. It was via satellite. There was no cable. So we used Intelsat 342 with simplex link, 1 megabit uplink, and 6 megabit downlink on DVB-IP, TVRO, 1 meter dish. And that dish was installed at the GTO, which was the ministry on the highway. In one of those days, there was a storm, the whole dish flew. So I remember those days, it was 256 uplink, 1 megabit uplink and downlink. So the technology has emerged ever. Now, if I go a little bit further in the history from my background, I used to work for a company called DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation. Some of you must have heard of it. It used to be the second largest computer company after IBM. And I do remember in the 80s, I did attend in Reading in the UK, a session about AI. So the AI was spoken about at that time. However, the technology did not help the AI to happen. And I think we owe a big thank you to the technology that has basically availed the AI, the connectivity, and everything that we are basically seeing. Now, if I want to basically address how we at Lightstorm taking advantage of the AI, since we are a newcomer to the Indian market, that's where we started, and obviously we are growing in multiple regions, as you know. I think deploying AI was very essential for us because this is how we differentiate ourselves from the rest of the crowd, sorry. As you probably know, we have connected over 70 data centers within India. We deployed new fiber optic cables within those data centers across India, multiple cities, to connect hyperscalers, content providers, and other users. We did deploy AI within our network as a service, and that basically to avail immediate provisioning of cloud connectivity, port connectivity between the various data centers. It did help us with the predictive maintenance, with outages. We deployed this within our customer service, BOT, and obviously that has resulted in cost optimization, better customer service, better experience, and so forth. And we continue to use this as we go along because that's how basically we differentiate ourselves in the marketplace.
Okay, thank you. So I'll continue with you, Veer. So within Kalaam, both in terms of the downstream opportunities as well as in terms of how you conduct your operations, how has AI impacted your organization?
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, again, thank you, Sohail, Zoe, Oman team for the invitation. Always a pleasure coming to Oman and be part of the carrier community out here. So, at Kalaam, we are extremely passionate about customer experience. And we feel that AI will be able to allow us to offer a differentiated customer experience. I'll start with an incident, an example which happened a couple of years back. I got a chance to mentor a young college graduate, came to Kalaam and got a chance to mentor him for 3 months. I think one of the first questions, he was an IT graduate. He came in and asked, sir, why can't we have a Talabat model for telecom, whereby on an app, we can select the services we want, we can select the operator we want, we can choose the prices we like, have the services delivered either on the spot, real time, or we can track when I order the service, when the service is being cooked. He was giving an example of actually Talabat. When the service will be delivered, how it can be monitored, and so on and so forth. Now we're talking about Gen Z, right? I think the moral of the story is that the enterprises, the end customer out there are comparing telecom operators with cloud native solutions, public cloud operators, where they want services to be delivered on the click, to be managed, scaled with a click of a button. At Kalaam, we realized the potential of bringing transparency in the entire customer journey. We are the early one who launched a digital portal, 360-degree digital portal, where we are offering the entire customer journey. We call it a portal, is called Click. We introduced MEF-certified CPQ, configure, price, quote. We launched service automation on the network, which is on-net to us. So we have started automating the network, which is, as long as it's on-net to us, the services can be automated on the fly through the portal. We're bringing transparency in the performance analytics. So each and every element of the service which customers are subscribing through us, they can visually see the detailed and rich analytics, trouble ticketing, the whole billing workflows. And each of this journey, we are embedding now AI, so that as far as customers' touch points are concerned, the moment they come into our system, till the time we are managing and billing, even they're exited, how we can bring the dynamism of artificial intelligence into how the network can be scaled, how the network can be monitored. We understand that artificial intelligence will have the capability to coordinate with each and every layer of the network and all the application layers. I think what we are going to see going forward is that our network has to be dynamic enough to cater to the applications which are running on top of it. I think that's where we are talking about the network parameters, whether it is throughput, whether it is jitters, can they be dynamically dynamically scaled up, scaled down, changed based on all these SaaS applications which are running on the top of these particular network. So we're investing quite a lot into this entire customer journey and embedding the AI tools in each and every network. As Sohail and and Edwin and all mentioned, that we are all investing into how we can make our network cloud native. We are investing into virtualizing our network, because till the time we don't virtualize our network, we cannot take the advantage of AI and cloud native technologies. And we have started seeing the advantage. We were able to, and I think probably we will somewhere talk about restoration. We are about to launch restoration as a service on our platform, whereby as and when there are any issues in the region on the cables, how we can offer restorations on the fly. Again, it would need a lot of work between as operators amongst us to cooperate and have kind of SD and NNIs in place, but that will allow us to use AI capabilities to have even capacities on the fly, restoration services on the fly. I think another low-hanging traction we are seeing on the artificial intelligence, because we as Kalaam are, I'm very focused on enterprise space as well as carrier space, is the fact that our core services like cloud, cybersecurity, collaboration, managed networks, all these services where we are partnered with the global OEMs, they are deploying their AI capabilities onto these particular services, and we are taking these services to the market. Whether, as we know, typically the enterprises who are using cloud, one of the challenges they always used to face is that cloud resources are not dynamically optimized, right? And hence their costs are quite significantly high, which impacts their performance. We've started seeing use cases where artificial intelligence AI is able to progressively and dynamically manage the resources as well as offer cost optimizations on the hybrid cloud environment. Same as cybersecurity, same as software-defined WAN, collaboration tools as well. So I think we are seeing quite a lot of traction even on the enterprise application side of it, besides the network optimization.
Yeah, and if I can pick up on one of the things you said, which really excites me, is all this aspect about automation across networks, right? Which really has an impact in terms of how one can see wholesale working by allowing cross-network optimization, AI applied to potentially multiple different networks through what you mentioned, SD-WAN, NNI. So do you see that this sort of thing is happening? Because we're talking about the future, right? So when could we see this kind of interconnection of SD-WAN, NNIs, of automation across network through like MEF kind of protocols and these sort of things?
Interestingly, one of my industry peers, Nabil, is sitting here. So we are talking with Etisalat for SD and NNI in Smart Hub, actually. And we are also talking with some of our local metro networks. So like in Bahrain, the network is owned by BNet. It's a network body. We are doing an SD and NNI with them so that we can automate the last mile service delivery as well with them. So I think those discussions have started because we feel that we took a little bit of lead in this space. As we were building our digital platform, we have created open APIs on our network. And these APIs are available for us to quickly integrate with the operators. I think that's where the fact that we were MEF certified, we started working with Etisalat, we started working with BNet in Bahrain. So we started seeing traction in this particular space. So I feel that over the next 12 to 18 months will be quite interesting, because the moment we will be able to see even the last mile integration, for example, I mentioned to you, restoration as a service, they will only be able to happen if we are able to do these SD and NNIs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So now moving to voice, Edwin, tell us in the voice space. So one, I'd like maybe a reaction on what Nabil mentioned about how AI can help in terms of reducing fraud, which is a big issue in the industry, which has thinner margin that data. And two, maybe how you see the potential of AI for more of a voice perspective.
Now, first of all, we have to run a business with very thin margins. And indeed, one of the realities what we are facing right now is artificial inflated traffic, generated traffic, DDoS attacks. And if AI could help us by identifying, let's say, these kind of attacks, keeping our business up and running, because many things cannot be done by AI. That is still where we need the human brain and the intelligence of, let's say, the systems and our own knowledge and the networks, let's say, to fight these kind of attacks. Last week, I think many countries have been attacked by DDoS attacks, and that immediately shows the vulnerability of our business. And we are talking about connectivity, we're talking about quality, we're talking about providing services to end customers. But as soon as a DDoS attack hits our network, we are silent. So yes, AI in the future can definitely help and can give a better predictability of the business going forward. But we also need to be realistic. We have to run the business right now. And where AI cannot help us at this moment, that's the day-to-day operations. Efficiency, yes, all the topics which were used by the use cases, I fully support them. But I'm realistic enough that I do not make margin yet with AI. I'm going to reduce cost, but at the same time, is artificial inflated traffic and generated traffic hit my network, I will make zero money.
Okay. So a bit muted about AI, but then if we're talking about the broad future, right? So then in your view, what's the future of voice and what are some of the maybe pockets of opportunities going forward?
Let's say when I entered the industry in 1998, 26 years ago, voice was dead, people said. And let's say 26 years later, see this group of people still managing voice business, plus new technology, plus innovation. I think it's inevitable that as an individual partner, you can survive in this business. Consolidation, partnership, GVs, let's say at certain levels is inevitable going forward. And that's not easy from a regional perspective, let's say from a technology perspective. Etisalat is a perfect example where they take a share in multiple companies. Zoe is a typical example. But now we need to bring it one step further. Where can we collaborate on network integration? Where can we collaborate on data sharing of data centers and these kind of things? So in my opinion, consolidation, in what way partnership is needed to reduce the cost, to keep the business up and running, and to create revenue going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Just comment on what Edwin mentioned. I think the transactional business probably, and the models will have to change as well somehow. And that's why, I mean, from our perspective, we entered more into this managed voice services and managed messaging services. That means addressing some of the MNOs, some of the partners' challenges in not managing, let's say, necessarily the international voice business properly or international messaging business properly, and basically are going more into this outsourcing model. And we have typical example in Asia, in Americas, where obviously we manage successfully the international voice traffic. So going more into managed voice services where the margins are much higher than the pure transit transactional, probably that's one of the model to move into.
Okay. So before I move to Virginie to get a vendor's perspective on AI, Sohail, I'd like to give you an opportunity to also comment on this, on the voice industry and how you see the role that it could play with the importance of scale to create or margin.
On the voice side, I would say, and I fully agree with that, when 26, 27 years ago, we started our career into voice. Until today, I think all of us are dealing with voice. I personally believe voice is not going to die. Voice is going to be there. It's just changing its phases. So it was 2G, 3G fixed. Now it's VoLTE. It's data packet, but it's still voice. Voice over IP was there, I would say 15 years ago. Voice over IP, we started with H.3 and SIP and all those. And now it's improving. Now we have HD quality voice, right? Voice business will not die till the time, we have human beings living in this earth talking to each other. So how we can create margins, I think what as a mobile operator we are doing in this region, I would talk about this region, I can talk about US. We are using voice now as a retention tool. You have 20 GB data, unlimited voice, right? This is what we are doing, but voice is still an attraction point to retain those customers with you. So if you look at the stats, overall the voice in this region is increasing. There's around 13% increase in voice, international voice, cross-border voice traffic between the countries. I'll give an example of Omantel and Etisalat. We used to have voice, which was a certain level, but then we enter into a very collaborative agreement where we says, okay, because we have people living on both sides of the border, so let's do something that people can communicate more freely. Both sides will have a better incentives to talk to each other. So we enter into what we call it open pipe deals kind of thing. And now we can offer unlimited minutes to UAE or unlimited minutes to Zoe, because we have 8 countries within the region. We are talking about Oman, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, Sudan, South Sudan, Iraq. And some of our countries, unfortunately, are in a very difficult situation today. So if you look at wherever you have difficult situation, voice traffic will grow by almost 120%. So I think it's a collaboration between the operator. I would also like to comment on what Veer, my friend, said, that SDN NNIs that we are doing, it will take 18 to 20 months because we need to collaborate with each other. It's a collaboration, it's a partnership between the operators. Today, my network goes down and then we need to run towards somebody else, another operator, to buy the restoration. But if we get together and connect our networks to each other using SDN, virtualization, this will generate more margins for all of us. But personally, voice is just changing its phases. It will remain there and it's increasing.
Okay. Very interesting to hear that it's increasing. And yeah, that's an encouragement, because even if and even surprising when you think that Gen Zs tend to speak less and less over the phone, but quite interesting.
I fully agree with you. That's a dilemma. I see my kids communicating with each other, sitting in the same room on WhatsApp and messaging services. So the new generation is more and more towards messaging. Yeah. But again, they will also grow. They will start talking to each other as well. But one thing in the voice business, I would say, and this is the artificial generated traffic that is now is creating a lot of issues for all of us. It's a zero margin game. Some companies, just to run revenues, they are running those things. But it's I would say it's a time bomb where some of us are sitting, and that can take us down, because you're talking about high value, very high rate generated traffic that is coming and going to operators, generate hundreds of millions of dollars a month or a year. And this can be an issue, a fraud issue.
Okay, thank you. Virginie, so please give us the vendor's perspective into AI, and then we'll broaden into some other topics. But first, what is the impact of AI on Ciena from all the different perspectives that it can cover?
Thank you, Yohan. So first of all, salam alaikum. Good morning to everyone, and bonjour à tous. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Zoe, Omantel, and Carrier community for this opportunity. It's such a pleasure. So I think a lot of things have been said around AI already, but AI has been with us. You said it, Radwan. You mentioned Digital Equipment Corporation. So it's a compute topic. It has been a compute topic since a while. And actually right now, 90% of the investments are still in compute in the US. But what we are seeing from a Ciena perspective, it's absolutely a networking topic as well. And the topic of the session is about the future in the Middle East. And I think if you look at the Middle East right now, there is a winning triangle, which is data center, fiber, and subsea. And this winning triangle will be very important in the context of AI. Why? Because ultimately, the data center so far has been built where the connectivity are or is. But with AI, the data center will be built upon where the power will be available. Because it's about massive amount of power and space ultimately. So that means that the connectivity will have to adjust to this new data center environment. So we will have data center training. We will have also data center inferencing. The point I'm making is we collectively in the room, we have a responsibility to make sure we can collaborate and partner together to make sure that the networking and the connectivity will be available. So from a Ciena perspective, we try to do our part, and the way we are doing it is we are preparing AI by understanding the impact on the network. And we see two aspects. One, on the software. I think everyone said it about the notion of predictive maintenance, how we can use AI in our software. So we are implementing AI analytics in our software and in our portfolio to make sure we can help the predictive maintenance, we can help predict the fault monitoring, doing automated turn-ups in the future. So that's one aspect. But there is another aspect, which is about also the capacity and the predictability that you mentioned, Sohail, at the start, about the large data transfer in the AI will be very difficult to predict. So let's assume you have in the Nordics, green data center aspect, 100 tera of capacity to transfer from a training data center to another training data center here in the Middle East. We will have to anticipate how it will be possible. And to make that happen, it will be a combination of big pipes still. That's why we are also working on now 1.6 tera on one wave for this kind of big pipes on a miniaturization environment, but also the impact of how we make it with API-driven capabilities to make sure that it will be very, very smooth from a delivery perspective. So we believe that it's a huge networking topic as well. We are at the start, it's nascent, but we are already working actively on how we architect the network in the metro and in the data center interconnect already.
Yes, Johan, I think before we move to another topic than AI, because AI is coming in and it's changing the whole paradigm. The way we operate, be it data center, the networks, cloud, everything is changing. Today, because of AI, the data center business is going to change from a huge data center to maybe a smaller data center, maybe a distributed data center in every part of the city, which is going to be an issue, which is going to create an issue for the electricity companies because you need to have a data center in an area. You can't have a data center in the middle of the desert and then you start feeding because it's not about AI, it's also about latency. So you need to get closer to the edge. So the way we are building the network, so Virginie just reminded me 2 years ago, ourselves and Ciena, we adopted 800 gig line interface. So we announced it and it was a big thing. Now we are talking about 1.6 tera. This is not required from telco side, but this is required from data center to data center replication, especially when you're moving AI data that is generating huge data we are talking about. So the way we are operating, the way the networks are, I will take an advantage of our regulators also sitting over here, regulations. A lot of things will change when we are talking about networks, we are talking about data center, we are talking about cloudification that requires a change because of this artificial intelligence, cloudification, virtualization. A lot of things are coming that are new in this region, maybe have been adopted in Europe and other places, but we need to change ourselves as well.
Yeah. Yes, Nabil? I will just comment on what Sohail and Virginie mentioned as well on AI, because you mentioned 90% of the spend is today in the US, 6% in Asia, 4% the rest of the world. 100% of the supercomputers are located in 30 countries. That means 85% of the 204 nations in the world are just lacking behind AI domestic, let's say, infrastructure. And I think we as Middle East, and I'm not talking only about UAE or Oman or Saudi, we as UAE, as Middle East, I think we are well positioned. Because when you look at the building blocks for this AI, you need to have data center, space, you need to have power, you need to have connectivity, you need to have obviously the GPUs, and we need partners like the big one in Asia, in the US. And obviously you need to have also this marketplace, this go-to-market that will create this AI as a service, basically. So if you have those building blocks, and I think in the region here, we are pretty well positioned to become really very, very strong when it comes to AI. We can reach 2 billion plus people with less than 30 milliseconds. So the latency aspects, I think we have it. We have access to capital. I think we never had so much access to capital in this part of the world, much more than any other regions. And I think the connectivity side is pretty fantastic when you look at the investments that SOE is doing, that EN is doing, that STC is doing, that any other, let's say, big telco in that region is doing and investing. I think we can bring, let's say, substantial connectivity, substantial capacity with low latency application on the top in this region, that after the US, most probably the Middle East will be the second one to emerge on this AI space.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I think as part of kind of the list of assets for the Middle East, one could also say land. It's not like Singapore where land is very scarce, and lots of power as well, because we have the infrastructure and there's spare power. So that's I'd like maybe yes, Virginie, to give you an opportunity to comment as well.
I just wanted to echo exactly the notion of what Sohail and Nabil said about the beautifully positioned Middle East situation. It was a brilliant video and explanation about Salalah as a hub. I think that's exactly what we are talking about. In the Middle East, there are a lot of strategic hubs which will create the notion of quadversity that will be very important in the context of AI. Because let's be honest, AI is also triggered by the web scalers. All those guys are investing massively. Every single dollar is for AI right now. But what is important in the past, it was diversity. Now it's about quadversity. So multiple routes, and Middle East is building exactly that. That's, I think, where you will capture exactly this AI innovation.
Absolutely. And so thanks for bringing this point about quadversity, Virginie. I think we talked about this triangle between data center, connectivity, and I think this all basically brings to Edwin. What do you think that there is the infrastructure that to actually support this interconnection, or interconnection is maybe less well served as compared to land, which is plentiful, power, which is also largely available, and capital, which clearly is there as well.
You read my mind, because I was about to comment on Sohail's and Nabil's. I think over the last 1.5 years, we have seen a lot of government-driven initiatives pushing for AI. And we have live examples, whether it's in Saudi, UAE, here with recent developments without mentioning names. We know that government is trying to create AI hubs here in the region. The question here is, we as service provider carriers, are we ready with a scalable network and infrastructure to cater for the demand of either data center or connectivity, submarine cable systems? All these are important elements to make the AI story successful. And I think we owe big thanks to people like Ciena and Veer, all the technology people. And I remember you know, in the old days, not that far, probably 10 years ago, we used to extract 10 gig from one lambda, right? You can imagine how costly it was. A 10 gig was $10 million to go from here to Europe. Today, with the technology, you can extract per lambda 400. Now they're talking about 1,000. So you can imagine how this technology has helped AI to emerge and develop, because AI needs high speed, not only the GPU, it needs connectivity, the data center, the power, the entire, you know, ecosystem. So I think what we really need to do is, we as carrier service provider, we really need to roll up our sleeves and look 5-10 years from now, what is the prediction in terms of requirements. Maybe we should use AI ourselves to predict those, you know, measurements. Equally important is to have an open-minded regulatory environment, because it is no longer you can basically work under regulations that existed 5 or 6 years ago. It is evolving so fast, and that would be also another important fact that we really need as carrier and service providers to have, to basically move faster and have the flexibility of doing so. That's my view. Yeah.
Thanks, Edwin. So this point about regulation, and I'll kind of also use what you mentioned, Sohail, in terms of how networks which are getting virtualized are actually, you know, needing kind of a bit of a different regulatory framework. Veer, you mentioned that you're trying to automate, and you're trying to, and you have a network also which covers multiple countries. With regards to all these virtualization and cloudification, one of the issues that I came across a number of years back was some of the regulatory challenges of operating a network from one place across a number of countries. So Veer, how is the regulatory environment in the countries where you operate supportive of your plans for automation, cloudification, and virtualization?
I think I was about to bring another topic on top of this, which will probably come to the regulatory aspect, is data sovereignty. When we talk of artificial intelligence, I think we are talking about, you know, privacy of the data of the customers, meaning again, most of the infrastructure, public cloud investments which are coming into the artificial intelligence space, the GPUs being invested by Oracles and Google and Microsoft, they're coming into sovereign AI, meaning your infrastructure as telecom operators, we need to support data centers which can provide data sovereignty as well. That's where the regulation comes into picture, because all the regulators in the Middle Eastern region, they're extremely sensitive towards data sovereignty. And hence, as telecom operators, we have to make sure that the infra which we are providing, it meets that regulatory requirement. That's where I think as a next phase of AI, I think initially some of them mentioned, is the edge data centers, because these data centers which we have created in country, they will come closer to the customer. We are already having discussions with some of the BFSI customers. They're saying that we want AI in our premise. We're not even talking about your premise, right? So here we are talking about, you know, an AI cloud sitting inside the premise of the end customer. So to answer your question, I think data sovereignty is paramount, is foundation. It's uncompromisable by any of the regulator in the region. As telecom operators, we acknowledge that. We are building our infrastructures locally, the edge clouds locally, our interconnections accordingly. I think, but at the same time, as AI is evolving, we started having discussions on AI SaaS-based applications, right? So those clouds, that data would be probably hosted in one of the regions out here, because it's not closure, and the regulators are open to have some portion of that data going across the borders. What portion of data which is core and sensitive to the customers cannot cross. I think the same journey they are going through as what cloud came in few years back. So as telecom operators, we are quite sensitive to this particular fact, and as we are discussing, preparing our AI future plans, we are keeping in mind how do we make sure the data remains within the country, within the premise, some cases even within premise of the end user as well. So we started actually with one of the used cases where we are deploying a small AI in the premise of the customer itself and doesn't cross the borders of their own network.
Yes. And so, Sohail, I think this is quite in line with what you mentioned before. And I think it kind of seems to be a consensus here that networks tomorrow, so networks in the future, will look differently as compared to what they look today because of data being stored more locally and closer to the end user, because of data centers being all over the place with like smaller ones closer to the end users. So do we, and I also note the Redouane's call to just roll up everyone's sleeves to make this happen. So do we have the dynamics to make this happen, to have these networks at regional level, national level, close to the like last mile kind of level, metro level? Do we have the right dynamics to make this happen? And what's stopping us?
I think I will give you the short answer first and then the long answer. So the short answer is yes, it is very doable. If you look at our region, especially where we are sitting in Oman, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, these are very well-connected countries. The access networks, be it mobile network or fixed network in our countries, are best. If you go to US, again saying US, but if you go outside, especially to North America, the mobile service is like 50% of what you get in this region. It's like Emirates flying and then flying United. That's the difference in the networks. I think in our region, we have a very good, solid access networks. All of us have 5G networks. There are parts of the world where they don't even have 4G deployed till today, right? So what is required? Now, if you look at international, we are talking about Etisalat, S3C, Zoe, Omantel, Ooredoo Group. Like if you combine all of us together, we have an excellent international networks as well. We are talking about 20 submarine cables landing in Oman, another 20 submarine landings in UAE or in Saudi Arabia. So if we combine ourselves together, we have the most solid network. And what Nabil said, I fully second his point that this region, and we've been talking to some international funds as well, and the international world is looking at US and Middle East for their AI data centers. And the reason is the price of power. In these two locations, in US and Middle East, power pricing is the main factor what drives the data centers to be there. From the regulations point of view, I think regulators in general in the Middle East, they're quite adoptive of technology. They're supporting the new ventures. They're supporting the new network technologies, virtualization. It's us. It is on us as telecom operator to go and we have to define what we want to do. So I think it's a perception, but if you look at the regulation in our region, I think it's one of the best that are supportive. Like we're talking about SN1, MC1, Etisalat, Smart Hub, S3C. We are able to do these things because our regulators are supporting, our governments are supporting us. Otherwise, it's impossible. On virtualization, I would like to give an example, and I think this is something that will open eyes of most of the mobile operator. We are operating in Iraq. And unfortunately, in Iraq, the situation is not the best at the moment. So 7 months ago, the whole network in Iraq, all 3 operators in Iraq were completely down. The core networks were dismantled by whoever is fighting over there in the capital. Just before this whole thing was unwrapping, as Zain Sudan, we started moving our core network into virtualization. And obviously not in Sudan, but these clouds are sitting outside. But we took let's say the approvals from the regulator and we deployed our core network over there. And that's why we were up and running within 2 weeks, whereas some of the networks were down for almost 3 months. And we are talking about a country where all the networks were completely taken out. All the core networks were completely taken out within a day. So these are some of the examples which I think we should talk more so that we can learn from those things and deploy it. Yes, data sovereignty is a most important thing, but I think this AI will address this because AI required distributed data centers. So we don't need to now put data somewhere outside because we can put our own data of the countries within the country in multiple locations. So I think it's very, very doable. And I would say that the key point over here is partnerships, collaboration.
If I may just add one, I
Please,
think in summary, what you have illustrated, what you've spoken about, what Nabil, and as you rightly said, most of the carriers within the region, whether it is Omantel, Zui, Etisalat, Ooredoo, etc., I think they have created an excellent network. Collaboration partnership is equally important to create this environment to basically advance the AI and how the technology is moving forward. And I think if we really want to summarize this, network as a service is the answer to this. My aspiration, probably that's what I'm going to be doing when I retire, is to create this network as a service among carriers themselves, whereby I go on a portal and I can choose a port in a data center in Muscat, connect to another box sitting in a smart hub, create connectivity using your cable, his backhaul, etc. All that's what network as a service, and I think this is how things should emerge. Probably 5 years from now, that's what we should be seeing, and that will create a perfect environment for AI, customer experience, and advancements of this region. That's my view.
Yeah. Nabil, can I let you sort of react to that? Because and also give your perspective on whether the infrastructure is there and it's indeed more about the collaboration, or whether there's also some additional infrastructure, some change of on the networks to be done.
I fully agree with Sohail, what Radwan mentioned. Partnership is key. I mean, there is no way one single carrier, one single operator, MNO, will be able to achieve, let's say, its ambition. And I think the collaboration that is happening right now in the region among, let's say, all the different carriers and MNOs in the region is essential. And I'm sure we will continue to drive, let's say, further growth moving forward. In the UAE, obviously, we are upgrading our infrastructure domestically. We are setting up data centers. We are bringing international connectivity. And this international connectivity, without the support and the partnership of neighboring countries, without the support of some of our strategic partners in the region, would have not been possible. So I think for me, I fully endorse what my colleagues mentioned. Partnership is essential. We'll continue to drive, let's say, the growth moving forward through partnerships. And I'm sure that, as also we mentioned earlier, after the US, the Middle East is next when it comes to AI.
Okay.
Just to add on top of what Nabil and Radwan mentioned, I think one of the areas where, as telecom operators, we need to kind of address the elephant in the room is if we have to collaborate, we need to sort out the high cross-connect charges, whether they are cross-border, at the same time in country. And again, Middle East is known to be one of the not so carrier neutral. I mean, it's in the elephant in the room. As much we say, we talk. To be honest, in country and cross-border, I mean, we struggle. And I'm a challenger. Again, I mean, these are big boys in this particular domain, and we see as challenges. But it's not only about the incumbent. This is where probably as a regulator also have to play their role, because a lot of these big data transfer won't happen if the price point of cross connects won't become competitive. It just won't happen. So I operate in market like Kuwait. I mean, we have struggled with the regulator where a 10G cross connect is $70,000 and 100G is linear to it, by the way. So you talk, and that's monthly. So you can just put the maths together. So, none of these AI initiatives will play a role till the time the regulator come into place. And then there are areas where as telcos, we need to, be competitive and be truly carrier neutral in that space. I think we have evolved, but there is significant room in that particular space.
Yeah, and that's a good conclusion. Yeah, there's been a lot of evolution, and I've seen this in the 12 years that I've been in the region in terms of what it used to be 12 years ago is like, I have my network, no one uses my network. Now there is more collaboration, but I agree that there could be more done. I think we're sort of getting towards the end of our session. Maybe I'll give Virginie, I'll give you the last word, because there's one word, pioneering sustainable smart infrastructure, that we haven't touched, which is sustainability. So as a vendor, Virginie, how are you supporting the sustainability initiative? How are you tracking them, measuring them? What are you doing about sustainability?
Well, how many hours do you have for this topic? So, a few things. So, first, when we all spoke about AI. So just if you think the data center is using 1% of the total electricity as of today. If we take all the growth rates that I believe will happen, data center, it will be 10% of the global electricity in the future. So sustainability has to be a topic. It's something that we are all working already very actively. From our side, we want to do our part because everyone has to contribute. And on the Ciena side, what we are saying is, okay, there are a couple of things we can already work on. So first is what I call miniaturization power technology. So yes, cost per bit is important. You said it, Edwin, very well. What we are working very, very much as well is the power per bit and the space per bit. So that's why we mentioned 1.6 tera. The decision has been made 3 years ago by our R&D to say, you know what, we will be putting our next technology in a 3 nanometer CMOS. And that's the first application in telecoms beyond the smartphone and so on. But on the application, yes, we have now 1.6 tera on a 3 nano CMOS chipset. We do that because of the miniaturization, the importance of sustainability, because ultimately it's power per bit, it's space per bit, which will help. Another aspect is how, and I know it can be controversial, but how we put less equipment in networks. And to do that, it's back to our technology as well, how we can help our technology to be less technology greedy. And that's where we avoid putting generation in the networks. And we are doing that by better interoperability with other non-Ciena domain transport networks. Software is also something we are using to help on the sustainability. So that's on how we contribute, and we're making our part. But of course, there are also a lot of things internally we are doing to be science-based target compliant. So we are working on scope 1, 2, and 3. So all about renewable energies, all about, of course, wasting. So this is the kind of now mindset we're having all the time. And actually, when we look at our customers, now sustainability is a huge part of the decision. In Europe, some service providers, they have 20% of the decision making who is tied to sustainability. So this is something which is not an afterthought at all.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen this in the region quite yet, but it's definitely an interesting trend to see. So I think we've basically come to the end of our hour. I hope that I didn't count how many times we said the word AI, but I think we not only talked about AI, we also talked about infrastructure, about the various access networks, the core networks, the importance of equipment, the importance of collaboration. So I hope it was as insightful as what you would have expected. And I'd like you, please, to help me and thank our panelists for their contribution. Thank you very much.